All right. So I guess I'm gonna just start with some Huahu Ching verses until everybody files in here. Depending on how many people we get, we'll see. So verse 67 of the Huahu Ching. Well, first of all, I just want to say that well, I'm just gonna go into it then actually before I go into what this is even about, the topic of this video. But Huahu Ching, verse 67. This is by Lao Tzu or Lao Tze or Lao Tzu, depending on your pronunciation. So, verse 67. To achieve the highest levels of life, one must continually combine new levels of yin and yang. In nature, the male energy can be found in such sources as the sun and the mountains, and the female in such sources as the earth, the moon, and the lakes. Those who study these things, which are only hinted at here, will benefit immeasurably. Because higher and higher unions of yin and yang are necessary for the conception of higher life. Some students may be instructed in the art of dual cultivation, in which yin and yang are directly integrated in the tai chi of sexual intercourse. If the student is not genuinely virtuous and the instruction not that of a true master, dual cultivation can only have a disastrous effect. If genuine virtue and true mastery come together, however, the practice can bring about a profound balancing of the student's gross and subtle energies. The result of this is improved health, harmonized emotions, the cessation of desires and impulses, and at the highest level, the transcendent integration of the entire energy body. As that's 67 Oahu Ching. I just want to do one more, and then I'll get into what I'm saying. 69. It's funny, it's 69. A person's approach to sexuality is a sign of his level of evolution. Unevolved persons practice ordinary sexual intercourse, placing all emphasis upon the sexual organs. They neglect the body's other organs and systems. Whatever physical energy is accumulated is summarily discharged, and the subtle energies are similarly dissipated and disordered. It is a great backward leap. For those who aspire to the higher realms of living, there is angelic dual cultivation, because every portion of the body, mind, and spirit yearns for the integration of yin and yang. Angelic intercourse is led by the spirit rather than the sexual organs. Where ordinary intercourse is effortful, angelic cultivation is calm, relaxed, quiet, and natural. Where ordinary intercourse unites sex organs with sex organs, it unites spirit with spirit, mind with mind, and every cell of one body with every cell of the other body, culminating not in dissolution but in integration. It is an opportunity for a man and woman to mutually transform and uplift each other into the realm of bliss and wholeness. The sacred ways of angelic intercourse are taught only by one who has himself achieved total energy integration, and taught only to students who follow the integral way with profound devotion, seeking to purify and pacify the entire world along with their own being. If one's virtue is exceptionally radiant, it can be possible to open a pathway to the subtle realm and receive these celestial teachings directly from the immortals. So that's Huahu Ching, man. Verse 66. Verse 67 and verse 69. I just wanted to go into those before I go into what I wanted to talk about here. Y'all can fire away with the questions. I don't have my comments are disabled on my Instagram, so I don't think you'll be able to comment here. But you can ask the questions still. You can still drop those in, and I can go into those after I'm done here. So for me, it's all about applied knowledge. It's about execution. And I'd like to just speak about things that I've experienced and not really be conceptual at this point. I feel like I can hint at things and talk about things that maybe other people haven't experienced, or maybe that I haven't experienced fully, or what have you. But I really like to go into things that I have really mastered. Whatever it is, whether it's throwing a football or whatever. Tantric sex. So when it comes to like the execution of tantra or tantric sex or whatever, or semen retention, respecting sex, it's really a holistic approach. It's applied physics, it's applied quantum physics, it's applied chemistry, it's applied biochemistry, biology, geometry, kinesiology, sex ed. It's actually applied. This is not something that I'm just going to talk to you about having read books. It's nice that I read the Hua Hu Ching. I just figured as a nice little intro to provide some insight and to burn off those few minutes until people will actually come in here. So into this live. So when it comes to sex in general, well, true sex is actually creative, and creation is sobering, creation is alignment. So the more that well, sex itself is synchronization. You're synchronizing. You have to synchronize with yourself in order to synchronize with someone else, or you're just raping your body, raping yourself. They're raping their body and their self, and then you're just going through a controlled rape together. But creation is sobering. Creation is alignment. Creation is synchronicity. So, um, whenever you align like that, the presence is there. You have this, you're attracting presence because that's what sex is. I mean, when you think about babies, a baby is consciousness. It is presence. So, creation is, sobering, and destruction is basically drunkenness with pride. So you're either sober or you're prideful. There really is like just different degrees of pride, like it's just different levels of pride. Whether you're drunk off your ass, whether you're just like haughty, or whatever it is, it's all different things. All the seven sins are just pride in different shades. So you could look at it like creation is just, I guess, the inverse opposite of those, what I mean, which would be humility and all that comes with that. So another reason why the Tao is a nice thing to point to. But enough of the word salad. So when it comes to being creatively destructive, you would like to destroy the false self, right? You're destroying all that isn't you, and the way that you can get in touch with what is you, the whole process of realizing yourself, you're realizing your body. So the more that you're sober and the more that you fully inhabit your body and your breath fully circulates, the more that you're going to be present during sex, and then you're going to just attract a lot of presence. You're not attracting parasites because it's like anything, like it's like a ripple effect. So if you're doing anything from a parasitic position, you're just gonna. It's like if you have power over others, they're gonna have power over you. If you have power over yourself, then you just teach people how to empower themselves, and then it amplifies that. So it's like as soon as you start to make that decision to rain down and to dominate, then you're being dominated and being rained down on. It's not, there's no separation. So um really it's really going to boil down to sobriety and the breath. What I mean, you're not you're never going to be in really true alignment with yourself or with your sexual chi if you've never experienced sobriety, lengthy sobriety, and I feel like everybody should. I mean, you should definitely be sober for the rest of your life, but everybody should experience uh, the pinnacle of their physical strength. They should challenge themselves to be as strong as possible in every way, so that they know what that feels like. So they're in touch with that. They're in touch with their body being as strong as possible, because your mind, your body will get sloppy if your mind gets sloppy. So it's there's no separation. So like I was saying, it's all about the quality of the alignment. That's what's going to keep you present. And I've been haughty and arrogant in my life, in a sense where I'm just taking people. I'm accepting people that I know they're not in touch with their breath enough, and they're not aware enough, even though they're adults, and even though they might have traveled the world and they know a bunch of languages or whatever, they are not really aware enough to make the decision to have sex. A lot of people, like most people on earth, honestly, at this point. So like, it really is, I have to get beside myself to even get beside them like that, to even have sex with them like that. So I have to dominate myself. I have to attack myself to like attack them. So, because that's basically what it is. It's like so much of it boils down to the defensiveness, you know what I mean? And the tampering of life. Like, me not having the patience to just, be okay with not having anybody around and just being addicted to abusing my own sexual chi has me in this circumstance now where I'm just accepting people that I should not be accepting to have sex with. And basically basically that whole process of of having sex with the wrong person or people that aren't in alignment with themselves is the probably the most one of the most destructive things that you can do, because you're hacking your own body. Your body doesn't want to do it. So you're becoming an invader in your own body by forcing it to do something it doesn't want to do. So for me, I'd have to get high. I'd have to, do things like that to make my body ultra sensual and sedated to where I could do that. And then if I actually like the person, my body could synchronize with them, and I knew that I was gonna potentially do it more and more. I knew that I had to get sober, but as long as I don't like the person, I can continue to be high and do things. It's not that I don't like them like they're just bad people, but I don't like them in the sense that I should have sex, perform the child rearing act with them. I shouldn't even be indulging in that with them. So, um, I'd have to be beside myself. I'd have to get high. I'd have to eat foods that I shouldn't be eating. Whatever it is, um, just denser food. It's not like I'm eating animals or anything like that, or animal products. I'm just saying that, like, if I wasn't doing those things when I started, I would be. If they're the wrong person, I'm gonna just do more getting high, more not dwelling in reality, more escapism. But if they are sobering, then I'm just gonna go right more into sobriety. So if it's a person that's actually more themselves, or that is themselves, then there's just too much consciousness in the room for me to continue to be ignorant and to continue to damage myself. So the whole process the whole approach to sex changes, because there's no separation, and then it's like I can't really hide, and there's no point in offending myself by trying to just detach, get high, and have sex with them by let my body go into autopilot, and then I just you know fuck them like that. It's not, there's just so much separation. I'm not really present, and that's the case with a lot of people. Like they're in the act of sex, but they're not really there. There's so many people having sex that are not really there because they don't know their body. They haven't really fully inhabited their body, and that's really what I wanted to talk about. Um, circulation is key, obviously, when it comes to sex. If you have poor circulation, then you're gonna have poor erection, and you're gonna have poor moisture from the woman as well. It's all about the breath being circulated, hydration, and obviously the breath is going to dictate the blood circulation. So what I have found in the process of having sex, um, it was just different triggers that I could mentally get through by just staying present in my body, And if you're not breathing correctly, or you're getting high and you're just attacking your breath like that and keeping it shallow and hindered, then it's just going to be so much more easy to ejaculate and to discharge all the energy, and then create distrust within yourself, and then distrust for this person, because they engaged in this suicidal act with you to release like that and not create a child. So when you're having sex, I feel like a lot of men, they really aren't in touch with their body enough to where they know what a full erection is. I feel like they either have to use some type of stimulant. A lot of people use Molly. It's young people now using Molly and Viagra and stuff like that. But then they're beside themselves. They're not really feeling like they can, like they're supposed to, or they get drunk, and then all the consciousness and circulation is in this lower part of the body, and they're not really communicating from these upper parts. They're only communicating from the lower chakras or what have you. It's all physical, like the Hua Ching said. It's all the sex organs communicating. It's not the upper echelons of being communicating. It's not like a god to god or goddess um, connection. It's all the lower parts of the body communicating, and it's just animalistic. So you're not really feeling nearly what you could be feeling. You're selling yourself short. It's so cheap, and it's so sad, honestly. So I feel like a lot of people don't really know what it's like to have full circulation in their body and then have a full erection to where there's full sensitivity. And then obviously circumcision is going to interfere as well, where people don't have the sensation that they should have, and, contributes to hypersexuality because you're not feeling like you would. But That's neither here nor there. I'm gonna just go into what we have, what we're working with right now. So when you have full circulation and full communication in your body, because communication is breath, when the cells are breathing and they're not obstructed, then they're communicating. There's circulation, the blood flow is there, the blood's carrying the air, the prana, the ether is being circulated, through the melanin in the blood. So, and through from cell to cell, every breath is communication. When you talk, you're breathing just loudly. So everything that's communication is breath. That's the basis of all communication is breath. So when you have the communication within yourself to where you can communicate from the base of your being to however you want to look at it, from the depths to the shallows, however you want to look at it, from the root chakra to the crown, however you want to look at it. I'm not here to debate that. I'm just saying, just having full circulation to where there's no separation anywhere in your body, then you have a full erection. Then you go into the sex fully knowing your body and its signals and the tensions or lack thereof in the body. Because the more relaxed you are, the more erect the penis can stay. So it's really about being soft that makes you hard. When your body is relaxed, then you become harder. But if you have tensions in the body, you're not gonna be able to get as hard. It's just not. There's resistance there. The only way that you can do it with tensions in the body is to forfeit levels of communication. You have to drive the consciousness downward and drive the circulation downward to where it's all in the lower parts. And when poor circulation like that, you're most likely going to release, and you're not going to be able to keep it tantric because your penis is heating up so much, and then her vulva is heating up so much from the circulation, from the sex being driven down into that area. It's not circulating. The information isn't circulating. The energy is not circulating from the rooter to the tutor. It's not from the crown to the root. So it heats up to the point where you'll release. And then if you're not breathing properly, you're either you're not present really. You're not really feeling, and you're more in your head. And then your body's getting signals from her body, her relaxation signals, for her to have a release, or what you call a release, what you call a female orgasm, what that's called, if you want to call it that. In a lot of respects, women don't have orgasms. You know what I mean? They build up static energy or yang from the masculine. Whether they're flicking their bean or a man is penetrating them, it is static or yang electricity buildup that's creating that basically that burning out sensation where they have a spasm or where they have what people are calling an orgasm. Her body has just reached the threshold for yang, and it can no longer contain that yang, so then they release. So that's more what if you call it. Really, females don't orgasm in a sense, because the male is the only one that can really orgasm. He's the initiator of sex and the finisher. Really, to be honest, everything else is masturbation. To be real, even tantric sex is masturbation. At some level, it's just a more conscious, dualistic version of it, if you want to call it dualistic. It just kind of collapses the againstness. But to go back what I was saying, if your breath isn't in order and then you have sex, then when her signals go off to have that release, or what you call an orgasm, female orgasm, because her body's reaching a state of relaxation and it's overwhelmed by yang, and you're not in touch with your own energy coming back at you through her, you're just getting that signal of come from her body. That's not your body, but you don't know your body enough because you're not really fully in it. You're being raped by a parasite, and you're just flattering yourself as if, like, oh, I'm getting this sex. This is for me. This is what I want to do. But really, a parasite's just driving both of the bodies to be drained. So if you're not in touch with your breathing and your circulation of energy, then when you make her reach those thresholds, your body is being relaxed as well, because there's you're plugged in to each other. Now there's way less separation, so you're more likely to release if you're not in touch with your breathing, and you can't, I don't want to say detach, but you can't discern, like, okay, that's her signal. And then because you have the communication there, you're breathing, you're pushing the energy through her, It's coming back to you. It's all being circulated like a battery pack. So when she reaches them thresholds, you don't just release two and then the energy is just dissipating and then the parasite gets it. It's driving that energy out of you. So you want to just continue to circulate it so that when she does release that energy, it just goes through you, you hold it, then you cycle it back through her, and then you can continue. But you don't want to, you really want to stop having sex once you've, while you're still in a state of desire, in a sense, like where you're at that climax of desire. You don't want to continue to beat a dead horse. You want, so that you can continually do it in a lot of ways. You know what I mean? If you keep having sex beyond the, I guess the energy that's present and available for it, the more that it's just going to be mechanical, and the more that you're going to drain the essence of it. It's just going to be mechanical and carnal. So that's so much of it that men are not really in touch, and it's hard to talk to them about that. You really can't tell them, like, yo, you never really had an erection correctly in your life because your circulation's so poor, because you eat trash and you don't breathe correctly, and then you haven't had sex with a female that is in touch with her breath. You know what I mean? Like, it's so many variables to it, to where men have never really, people in general have never really experienced sex. They've only experienced like sadistic masturbation with a partner. In a lot of ways, that's what it is. It's not really sex. I mean, I guess you could call it sex if it creates a baby, but it's still very rapey. And a lot of it's going to attract parasites because you're not being yourselves. Because you're not operating from consciousness. You're operating from a carnal place. You know what I mean? You know, it's about the fruit, not the flower. So it's about the depths more than the shallows. The shallows, that becomes beautiful when someone's core they're in touch with their core and they're conscious, because you can make a doll have symmetry, and you can say, look, this is a beautiful doll, and a lot of females at this point with the fake bodies and the makeup and the fake hair and everything, which is a mental disorder, all of that, like, it's not very far off from a doll in a lot of respects. So it's the consciousness is what makes you attractive, and the consciousness is going to attract consciousness. So when you're being conscious of your breath, you're going to be way less wasteful. Your body's going to be processing everything. You know what I mean? You're not going to be having you're not going to be feeding parasites. You're going to eat for medicine or fuel for an activity. So when you have sex, it's going to be all appropriated. You can sense the energy. You don't have to talk about it or anything like that. You don't have to stimulate. You don't have to, do. I see people post all the time, like, you need to have oral sex for this amount of time. I'm like, that's because you're trying to rape her body into relaxation, and you're having sex outside of ovulation. You really shouldn't. Her body's not really welcoming sex unless she's ovulating. So outside of that, it's a degree of rape, one way or another. If she's not ovulating, it's a rapey situation, regardless of what you think, because you think you can do it because you're both consenting age or whatever. You're still raping the body. You know what I mean? It's like people know that drinking's wrong. It's the same thing. Having sex outside of ovulation is not correct on any level, on a carnal level or anything. It's a parasite driving you to do it so that you can be drained, and so that you can drain the essence of the sexual act in general, so that you just stay more and more numb to it and dull to it. So you'll never really ever be able to know, like, oh, this is the time when I should be copulating to really create. It's just all sex. It's just all a wash at that point. You don't really know quality alignment from carnal or sensual pleasure, fleeting satisfaction. You're not going to know. So I feel like a lot of people, when they are getting into Tantra, I feel like a lot of it is running. So much of it is running. The body starts to relax, the penis starts to get erect, and then they confuse that signal with about to ejaculate. You're not about to ejaculate. Your body's just relaxing more. But if your circulation is bad, then you probably will ejaculate because your body's relaxing and you're not in touch with that state of being. When you're doing breath work consistently, your body's relaxing more and more, and you're just in touch and conscious during that. Only other time people reach these states of relaxation is during sleep, which is ridiculous. You should be consciously sleeping or whatever. Breath work is conscious sleep. So when you do breath work, you're reaching these conscious levels of relaxation, and you're experiencing them. You're not in an unconscious state where you don't even really remember. You just wake up from it. You're actively being receptive. As paradoxical as that sounds. So when you're reaching those states, when it comes time to have sex, you're already familiar. Your body's not like, oh, I've never been as relaxed before. Oh my God, you know what I mean? I never felt like this before. You're in touch with your body. So then you already know, like, okay, my body's reaching this state of relaxation. It's even more hard now. You know what I mean? And she's even more wet or whatever. It's not to be detached from the body. You're really more present in it to where you aren't fooled by any of the triggers along the way. It's like, I feel like so many people, they try to pull out, they try to push the button or whatever. I don't know. I never did that, where you had to like push on a taint or whatever to stop yourself from ejaculating. Your best bet is to stay in there, honestly, and weather the storm, and to control your breathing, and to know when to stop, and to really just be in touch with the penis, the shaft of the penis itself. Because it's just like the body. You got full circulation in the body, and you have full circulation in the penis from head to root. So you can circulate. It's like a micro circulation from the root of the penis to the head and back, up and back, up and back throughout the whole sexual thing. And it's happening. The cranial sacral rhythm is the macro. You got from the base of the spine to the cranium, up and back, up and back. So it's happening, the micro and the macro. And so if you're in touch with that, then as your body relaxes, then you're really going into the state of death. This is why I was saying in a podcast that will be uploaded soon, like, you want to get as much in touch with not needing anything, so that when you do transition, what people call die, you're already in touch with that, not needing anything. You're already in touch with the other side, or what people call the other side. Because that, when you're having a child, you're just becoming a channel. You're aligning with that being and with creation itself and this other person that you're creating with. That you're harnessing creation through. The light is coming through you. You don't own it. They don't own it. The light is what it is. It's this being. It's not separate from you, but you're just witnessing it. So when you are in touch with that, if you're in touch with fasting, and you've done it for extended periods, and you abstain from sex for extended periods, and you abstain from anything, man, hallucinogens, tobacco, whatever it is, weed is a hallucinogen. You abstain from these things, and you get to the point where you're like, your body doesn't need them. As long as you crave it, you're still detoxing. So you have to get past that point. So you get into the points of not even wanting those things. So if you do indulge in something, it's not out of a desire. It's not like, it's more out of like a communion with someone else maybe, or, it's not out of like a lack circumstance. So when you pass on, you don't have that attachment. You don't need, like, if you die in the state of need, then you're going to separate from yourself. Your identity is in need instead of limitlessness, eternity. So the more that you get in touch with that eternity and that not needingness, you're going to be getting in touch with your levels of relaxation. And the more that you don't desire, the more you relax your body will be, the more it attracts, because the less you need, your body is in a state of harmony. It's in a state of not lacking. It's in a state of just calm, so, serene. So it's not chasing. You're really not separate from the state of death. You're really a small veil from you and death when you are in touch with those states of being, where you're living with not needing, and you're just basically being the being that you were before, you or always have been, before that you assumed a human body or assumed a physical body, whatever. So you're in touch with that state of relaxation. Again, it just begets The relaxation begets the attraction begets the relaxation. Because as you attract things, you see your power, then you can relax even more into your power. And then it just amplifies. So you're doing things more so like for what will attract more consciousness and more calm in your life. It's not about attention. So much of it is attention. You know what I mean? Like so much of it is just people wanting attention and people just being, um, abandoned babies. In a lot of respects, their parents had to work and stuff. They never really had the attention, somebody to like really keep them in bounds and to really give them that attention because they couldn't pay attention to themselves, the parents. So again, with sex, for you to undo the damage that created all this tension and this defensiveness, you gotta to repair is repairing. You have to approach sex differently. Sex is pairing. You're pairing with one another. So to repair, to what was done wrong, to repair what was damaged, you're gonna have to approach sex with a totally different state of respect, so that you can transform from a first person and a third person in a sense, because sex is creation. So only reason you should be having sex with someone is to practice having a child with them. If they're really potentially someone that could bring about a child, yeah, I know some people are gonna get close to people and have sex with them, and then find out through that process, like, okay, no, we're not supposed to have a child. But in that process, you don't want to have ejaculations. Why would you want to do that? Then you're going to build up resentment. And it's just like scars. It's like spiritual wounds and physical at some level too. So, you got to treat it with that level of respect. And if you're harming yourself, you're just going to attract other people that are harming themselves in different form of fashion. They might do it in some other way. So much of it is just judgment. You know what I mean? Like you control your rewards and your punishment and your protection. You control that. So if you're not living correctly, you're judging yourself and saying you deserve punishment. You deserve this. You deserve to be with the wrong person. You deserve this. You deserve that. You don't deserve this. So it's all your reward system and your punishment and your protection is all one. And it's all, self-controlled by aligning with the one that is one with all. So it's really, to walk it back, it's really a process of going forward and approaching sex in a totally different light and stopping attacking yourself so that you can, operate from a place of consciousness and communication. So you've opened up that line of communication with the truest part of you, which is, people call it the most high or whatever. The consciousness that is in you, consciousness is the consciousness. So the consciousness that is in you is not separate from the one. So you have to go into it looking like, I want to connect from this place, from a eternal place, not from a carnal temporal place, or you're just going to repeat the same things. If you vanity breed and you're just having sex for the flower instead of the fruit, you're having sex for the external, you might as well be fucking a doll. So now you get this machine, this organic AI, this humanoid AI pregnant, and then that trajectory of you're sending your consciousness down that trajectory of vanity. So then you're going away from sanity, going towards the vanity. So you vanity breed one generation, then your child subconsciously and consciously kind of understands like vanity. Now that's more of a focus in their life instead of sanity and not needing and calm and stuff like that. So then after generations of that, you're getting so far away from the template that now you're gonna have inbreeding, because vanity breeding is unconscious breeding. Vanity is unconsciousness. It's pride. You're going away from consciousness. You're going into unconsciousness. So you compress that over generations a bunch of unconscious breeding is going to lead to inbreeding. Because now you're getting to this state 10, 15 generations down the line where people are just, oh, it's all attraction. It's not love. It's not, people don't understand the dynamics. It's not, love is learning and aligning to move forward in the likeness of the creator. It's not saying that you don't love these people that you have sex with. It's just that you don't understand the dynamics because you're caught up in attraction. It's totally unconscious. It's totally animalistic. It's like, oh, it's a shiny object, loud sound. That's what it is. When you're seeing someone or you're being pulled to someone in a carnal way and it's not a holistic connection. So years, generations down the line, now you're inbreeding. Now you're becoming more and more diluted and more broken because the more that you inbreed, the smaller the pool gets, the more that the genetics mutate and break down, and then you get more and more dilution, and dilution it takes many forms, you know what I mean? But obviously paleness comes from whenever mammals inbreed. So you're going from the vanity, that level of attraction, picking the attraction over sanity. Just picking the pure magnetism instead of like logically meet your emotions and your logic have to meet. I'm not saying discount the emotions, but they have to come to an agreement. You can't just make things based off emotion. So that's just total, disregard, you know what I mean? For at least 50% of your being. So like you go generations of that, of just being drawn to people. Then you're being drawn 10 generations down the road, you're being drawn to someone, but spiritually they might have came out of somebody other else that you're like, yeah, it's not my family. I can have sex with them. No, spiritually, energetically, actually, they are your sister or they are your cousin. And this is incest, or they are your brother's wife, or they whatever it is from the last life, from generations back. We shouldn't call it lifetimes. We should just call it bodies. The last body or this body before that body, so you're just being drawn to this person and you don't know the dynamic of the relationship because you don't really know the dynamics of yourself and your body. So the likeness of yourself and the likeness of your body. So when the body's in alignment, it's in its true form. So it's in its true likeness, and then it connects from that. So you're gonna breed from a totally different place if it's just attraction based. You're just going off of like, oh, I love this person because I have this deep comfort with this person. And it's, a lot of it's just you're enabling each other to be complacent and to stay in the loops and stay to what's familiar. And again, that's what you're getting in, you're inbreeding, you know what I mean? Staying too familiar. So yeah. That's pretty much my purpose though, man, in this earth is to shed light on the breath, obviously. Shed light on circumcision and the damages of circumcision. And then shed light on tantric sex. I feel like those are things that I know firsthand that no one can tell me I don't know about those things. I've experienced those things. Outside of my reality, there's things basically just don't exist to me. You know what I mean? If it's something I haven't experienced and I conceptually might grasp it, it's kind of don't exist. Even though like, if the time comes for me to approach some circumstance that I conceptually know, maybe I can superimpose what I conceptually know onto what I'm actually going through, but you're never really ready. You can prepare, you can stay in alignment, prime your body, but you're never really ready, man. Your body, at some level, it's like a blind spot to it in a sense. Like the true self knows when you're ready, and the more that you stay in touch with that, the more that you can get the signals early. But you're never really ready. You're just thrown into it. You know what I mean? Because what's actually happening is what's actually happening. Like if somebody's throwing you a ball in a game or something, you don't say like, oh my God, am I ready? Like, no, you're just preparing for that moment, and then it happens, and then you either drop the ball or you catch the ball. It's just alignment and preparation. And it's not about like you're never really ready. Things just happen. You know what I mean? Like you're not gonna get this like memo like, all right, so you're ready now. It's time for you. You know what I mean? It's totally like just being in alignment. It's not like something you're just prepared and then the moment presents itself and then you meet the moment. If you've never met the moment before, you can't be ready for something you never met before. You just make yourself, you don't waste any time, and you stay as prepared as possible for all of the outcomes, whatever could come your way. So, um, that's really what I'm here for, though. I really feel like, in a lot of ways, I fulfilled that because I feel like the breath is kind of more mainstream now in a lot of sense. And tantric sex has always been around. These things have always been around, but I feel like in my lifetime, I did, I laid it down in a lot of ways to where I definitely shifted things and made my presence known one way or another, and influenced this life for people to become more aware of the ins and outs of these things, and also the blood and racial thing too as well. That's like a nice little side thing. So, like I was saying though, everybody should do a season of monkness. Really being away. Like monk means mono, monk means oneness. So being away from people, away from everything, have a season, at least a year, maybe 3 years, maybe 4 years, where you're just not really seeing people consistently, where you're really with yourself and you can be with yourself and really get in touch with, the animal side of you, the animated side and everything. Like you through and through, you're in touch with yourself. You should have that. And then you should have a season or years where you're just at the peak of physical conditioning, and I feel like everybody should go through that, man. I really do feel like, you should go through that, um, just so you know the ins and outs of your body, you know what I mean? So that you can be present in it. So when these things happen, you know what I mean? Because I feel like a lot of people that do have children that are together, that they should be together, but they're connecting from the wrong place. The connection is there and the opportunity is there for them to really connect, but they're connecting from the wrong place. They're doing the right things the wrong way, if you can call it that. So I feel like it's more just about totally integrating every part of the body to where you can communicate from every part of the body to where you go into the sex itself and you're actually present. People go into the sex and they have like these things in their mind about what's happening. They're in their head, like this is what's supposed to happen. This is how this looks. How do I look? How do they look? And it's like, you're having the sex, but then you're also thinking about how it looks. You're not really like feeling it because the body's numb, for one. If you're not really in alignment with it, if you're not sober, if you've never been sober, if you never got in touch with fasting, there's so many numb spots in the body that have been offline and just not communicating. And a lot of people just really cheap with themselves. It's so sad. I mean, people will be cheap and they'll just go with fleeting euphoria over sustained contentment and communication. And once you reach certain states of fasting and certain states of consciousness, you're kind of chained to those experiences. If you spent a long time in your life studying something or um, doing breath work or fasting or whatever it is, focusing on a certain thing, you're chained to those experiences to where you can't unknow, in a sense. Like there's no way for you to forget what it feels like. Like, man, if you never fasted more than 3 days, then you like, once you get, once you're at day 3, if you're going through detox symptoms, you might be like, oh my God, this sucks or whatever. But if you've been to day 4, day 5, 6, 7, you're like, man, this is ups and downs. This is a lot of this is mental, but physical, the body's the mind in 3D. So you've experienced that, like the signals to where you're like, okay, I know what I'm going through here. I know that this is not, I'm not new to this rodeo, you know what I mean? So you can approach life differently. But if you've never done that, if you've never been sober and fasted and abstained from sex and done these things for lengthy periods of time, then, when you come to actually have sex, it's just going to be, it's going to be so much miscommunication with yourself. And like, And like I'm saying, like you want to feel. You want to feel as much as possible so you can have the communication there, so there's no gaps, there's no voids in the body, so that when the sex is underway, the signals are all the line of communication is clear, and like, okay, the energy has been circulated, and then this is the end of this for now, and we stop. And then the more that you get in touch and synchronized like that, and then you're at the same time you're plotting and planning, you know. So much of what we see today, again, like in this matrix and this matriarchy, um, there's no respect for the masculine side of creation. And a lot of that has to do with men not respecting themselves because they're just busting nuts everywhere. You know what I mean? Just frivolously throwing away their seed, which is the past and the future. They're just throwing it away. So it's hard for women to respect it. You know what I mean? So we have a world full of just feminized men. You know what I mean? So when it comes to actually investigating yourself, everybody's focused on your birth date or what's so-called birth date. When they look into astrology or human design and all these things, you're like, okay, this is cool. And I think that's just one side of the spectrum, though. It's not any more important than the conception date. Your conception date, the time when the ejaculation happened, that's your real rising sign. The day that you were born, whenever the house of the sun was in, that's your real sun sign. The feminine side would be, like your whatever the moon was in upon birth is more significant than what the sun was doing upon birth. It has an influence. Everything that matters. Everything is everything. But as far as like the whole spectrum view, you're just throwing away this other side of creation. You're just looking at one side of it. It's just like if you just look at shitting and you don't look at what's being eaten. You're just constantly looking at shit. You're not looking at the whole spectrum of this process, and you have no regard for it. So if you are a conscious cosmic farmer or seed planter, whatever, you would have respect for the initiation process of creation. So when you're planting that seed, if you're going through that communion with that person, you're having the tantric sex, you're synchronizing more and more, you're having a plan for this person because you're fasting together, you're actually having the dreams together where you're communing with this being that wants to come through you, and you're communing, and you're making deals. Basically, you're like, all right, this is what you do. You're attracting teachers. That's what a child is. You're teaching each other. They're a teacher. The student teaches the teacher how to teach, and obviously the student is learning from the teacher how to teach as well. So when you're having this process, you're synchronizing with this person, you're dreaming together, then you are attracting beings, and then you have these dreams, what you call dreams. It's reality or different phases of reality. They're communing with you in those dreams or so-called dreams, and then they come through your body. And you already know what they're going to be because they've already talked about it. Like this teacher does this. They have this is what they need to learn in this lifetime, and this is what they've already learned, and this is what their fate would be if they come through me. Literally, figuratively, actually coming through me. So like there's no discrepancy, and like, okay, this is what we need as a village, as a tribe, as a couple, as a nation. This is what we need. We need this type of being. We need whatever it is, We need a scholar. We need a musician. We need whatever. And not to say that you wouldn't be holistic. A musician will still be a scientist at some level because music is science. So it's just like where the emphasis is for that path, because everything is everything. So even if you're an athlete, you're still a scientist. You're still at some level a musician because you got to be in harmony with your body to be an athlete. But the emphasis determines the fate based on what you need to learn, what you're challenging yourself to learn in this lifetime. So as a being coming in, it's got to match. You want it to match. So the only way it really matches is you're yourself, they're their self, then you're connecting with a being that is itself, and then what they need to learn, you can teach, and what you need to learn, they can teach and express just by being. It's not necessarily things that you have to say. Some things you will have to say, but so much of it will just be embodiment and allowing and accepting, instead of trying to force, like, you should do this, you got to learn the piano at this. But so you already know, based on the prior communion, because you're not creating just haphazardly, because you've communed with yourself first. Your organs all communicating, everything's communed in one common unity within yourself, and then you connect externally with someone that is self, and then you connect with another being, which is just not really separate from you, which is within you, and so that they can come through and it all matches. But otherwise, if you connect from another place, if you're not yourself and you're just connecting from persona, a lot of men out here connect using their personality, which is feminine. Your personality isn't what should be bringing the value to you. It should be just an accent, a cherry on top. You should actually have value from being yourself, and then the personality is just something that's like a cherry on top, a little accent on top of being yourself. But if you have to be a personality in order to get the things you want, that's more feminine than a masculine means of creating in life. So you shouldn't be connecting from personality. If you meet who you love, doing what you love, you being yourself, you don't have to like throw your personality at them to connect. You're yourself, and you've already communicated well before you communicate in words. In the dreams, you connect in the dreams first, which is more reality, and then you're connecting, and you're connecting from an immutable place, a place that's less separation or none, heaven, reality. There's oneness there. You're connecting from the oneness, from the self, and then it unfolds from reality into this dream, what you call reality. So you connect there, and then now you don't have to, when you approach each other, you already knew it was coming. You can feel it in your body, and some people do feel it in their body. It's just not like actively there. It's just like in the recesses, like the self isn't really at the throne, at the helm of the body, but it might be somewhere nearby. So like some people knew, like, oh man, I was going to go out today and I just felt like I was going to meet someone or whatever. They kind of knew, they had hints or whatever, because they have some contact with their dreams. But you want to be play an active role in your life and in your dreams. So you want to connect from that place, from the true self place, and rather than a personality, because you're connecting from personality. It's not the true self. It's an amalgamation of conditioned behaviors. Your personality, say you're from New York, you say words a certain way because what you was exposed to, your ear heard that, and you were conditioned to say words that way. And then you see people move and say words and have certain mannerisms while they say the words, and now that's like embedded in you. That's your personality. It's not the self. So people are using that. They're like using an amalgamation of conditioned behaviors that they've collected, and using that as like a means to connect with other people's curated persona. They're other people's not self. So you're just going to attract parasites at that point. And you're going to attract children. If you have children, teachers, you're going to bring teachers in that are going to teach you, they're teaching you what you need to learn one way or another. Even in the ignorance, you're realizing what you did wrong. But that's not really, is that what you want to do with your life? Realizing what you did wrong? Or like realizing like, oh man, we did this correctly. What else can we do correctly that will amplify our life? What other way can we create a greater balance within ourselves so that we can have more evolution through more and more balance, greater balances? So we bring another being in, because we're so balanced within ourselves. We bring another being in, then we balance, and then you could just can perpetuate that, whether internally or externally. You create a business, you whatever. It's all, if you have more babies, whatever it is, you're now creating a greater balance. So then you have a greater evolution. So you're learning how to do that more instead of learning what not to do. So much of us know what not to do, and then I feel like we're stunned when it comes time to actually apply ourselves and really do what is necessary. Because all we know is what not to do. Like, oh, my mom or my dad did this. This is what happened. You know what not to do. It's not a good example. You know what I mean? So a lot of us are, implementing what to do, and we're first generation of that. Some people have it. Some people have some things already installed because their parents did some things right. But just imagine you're learning from a place of like, okay, I did this right, correctly. I did this correctly. What else can I do correctly to bring about greater evolution? Instead of, oh, I did this incorrectly. I created damage, and I'm being shown this, and that's your process of learning. It's you got to respect it at some level. It everything, even a loss is a win at some level. But it's just like, how long do you want to live in that place where you're just learning from damage instead of learning from applying the correct things so that you can get to the next correct thing and keep doing that for eternity. So I really feel like, it just all comes down to sobriety or pride. you know Either you're going to be sober or you're going to be drunk from pride, and the drunkenness from the pride is going to turn into shame, and then you're going to attack yourself, because pride is just like, again, it's just immature shame. So anybody that's read Proverbs knows that. So like, pride turns into shame inevitably. So when that transpires, you're going to have self attack because you're shameful. So now you're attacking yourself. You're letting opportunities go by. If you're shameless and you're not prideful and you're humble, then you're gonna accept opportunities. You don't, what I mean, like they say, guilty feet can't dance. So if you're ashamed, then you're never gonna take certain opportunities because you feel like you don't deserve them. You know, like mad times in my life where I met really great women, but I wasn't living correctly, so I felt like I don't deserve this person. So I'm gonna take myself out of the equation before I hurt them and then really hurt myself, and then create more pain in the world. So it's, you know, it really is just come down to like, your humility and sobriety. They're kind of one and the same, you know. And like the Tao says, water is humble. It goes to the lowest place and fills all the gaps indiscriminately. And, water fasting is clear. It's one ingredient. It's pure. It's primal. It's like prime minister. You know what I mean? It's the premier. If you can get to just a clear state, then you have clarity. So, obviously, water fasting, and then, just dry fasting on breath, just even more clarity, more clear. But it's a process. You can't disrespect the process. You want to enjoy A to Z and realize where you went wrong so that you can correct it. But if you try to jump to Z, then those minute problems will just amplify, and then you'll have really big problems because you skipped over. So it's just better to take your lumps or take your steps, and then you get into, states of fasting, learn how to treat your body, and then you know how to treat people, and then you connect with people that you would respect yourself. You would lose respect for yourself if you disrespected them. So, there's just no way you're going to let them down. You won't let yourself down. There's no separation. So, the more that you attack yourself though and run from sobriety, the more you're going to stay in pride. You're going to stay in euphoria and just loop from euphoria. It's like pride, euphoria, shame. What else will come after that? Pride, euphoria, shame, self-attack. And then the self-attack, again, it's like a cutter. You destroy yourself in a destructive way instead of like a creative destruction where you're like destroying your false self. Now you're attacking yourself like a cutter. And maybe you just smoke. Maybe you just eat improperly. Whatever it is, it's a self-attack. You know what I mean? And it's different different levels of pride, you know? Obviously, it's different levels of pride. So the more prideful you are, the further you are getting away from clarity, the more that you're not dwelling in reality. And yeah, it's really that. That's really pretty much it. Like, you lie to yourself, get haughty and proud, which you hurt yourself. Then you get the euphoria from hurting yourself, and then you are ashamed, and then you that just perpetuates. That cycle just perpetuates. So it's not something that's out of your control. You just have to accept that that's what's happening, and start to move in a direction, move forward instead of in a loop like that. Um, so I think that's it. That's it, man. I'm pretty sure. I don't know how long we've been on here. So I guess I can fire away with the questions, man. Um, yeah. Let me see what you got for us questions. I'm gonna delete these questions as I read them too, so I don't have to scroll like last time. Thank you for the questions, by the way. It says, I'm adopted, brother, and still have my hoodie, but thanks for letting me know. I don't get it. I'm adopted, brother, and still have my hoodie, but thanks for letting me know. I guess ask the question again because I really don't get that, man. I don't know what you're insinuating. So, bodily autonomy, bro. Better question is, how the fuck can you forgive your parents for mutilating your genitals? Um, if they were doing that, they were not themselves, man. There's no way that you could be yourself. And if they were, they feel sad about it. It's deep inside of them. There's no separation, man. Um, you got to look at it like that, man. If your parents is like, if you talk to them about it and they get haughty about it, then they're really not themselves, you know. And so you kind of just gotta like realize like they're suffering because they're not themselves, and just gotta have that compassion at that level. You don't have to feed into it. You don't have to go back and forth with them, but you have to just realize like when someone's not themselves is kind of like no way you can't really work with them, beyond like controlled circumstances, whereas you're not giving yourself to someone that's not being their self. So you just got to protect yourself from here on out. You know what I mean? What they failed to do, you got to implement. So somebody said, "What's wrong with circumcision? Circumcision, brother? Oh, that's what you meant by having a hoodie. Oh, okay, I get you. Circumcision is it's like cutting a woman's clitoris off. I really don't think a lot of the people that are all watching this, they pretty much know this at this point. Intact children are way more calm. That's what I want to go into, man. It's so much defensiveness that comes from that, man. It's just so much defensiveness from being circumcised. You're gonna, you know, you're just gonna be defensive about everything, especially anything new relationships, new job, anything, because as soon as you started life, you were attacked in the most sensitive part of your body. So you're just gonna be defensive. You know what I mean? And that's kind of where I went with sex. You know what I mean? I got really defensive to the point where I was just like having sex with them, making them come and like it's just more so out of like competition and to like make them feel not special. I mean, at some level, vagina isn't special. It's important, but it's not special. It's billions of them. Same thing with men. Penis is not. You're gonna really hurt yourself if you have pussy pride or penis pride, because there's always someone else out here that they can get energy from, that they can get carnal things from if that's what they're after. So don't fool yourself with that. So um, I really feel like so many people, especially men, are going through things defensively. They're having sex like, oh, I got mine, or whatever it is. Different dudes doing that, or whatever it is. Like it, the sex has just become so defensive. It's goal oriented instead of just being present and feeling the presence and being within yourself. So it's damaging. Um, and circumcision blocks a lot of that and creates a lot of hypersexuality because you're not feeling enough because you can't feel. You cut off the most sensitive part of the penis. So now it's the communication is lacking. So you don't know when you've had enough or when, it's time to stop or whatever it is. Like that communication is missing. So, um, again, like it just created, for me, it created a big defensiveness to where I just had to dish rag them. You know what I mean? I just had to fuck them and make them feel not special because I felt not special because I felt like somebody deep down, like somebody didn't care enough about me to protect me at that period in my life when I was the most vulnerable. So I feel like I wanted to spread that. That's what it was. When I evaluate the history of myself, that's what it was. I was just trying to make people feel not like individuals, like they were just chattel, because that's what I felt like I was, chattel, because, or cattle, whatever, what have you, because I was treated that way. And so I went around spreading that, like, yeah, you ain't shit, your pussy's not special. It's not special. It's important, but it's not special. But like them as a person, you're not special. And I used to use that. I used to, I'm like a hunter. I would go and hunt the hunters. You know what I mean? I felt like I was like, you know, combating all the women that would just feed off of men. They made me sick. So I felt like any woman that was, or female that was proud, because they're not really women if they're being like this. Any female that is proud of her pussy and feels like it's special, and she's using that as leverage on men, and she's haughty, I felt like I had to punish them to let them know that that is making them anything but special to be like that. So I feel like circumcision contributed a lot to that for me personally, and I see men in general compensate in other ways because the communication is just not there. They're not communicating with themselves. They were traumatized at a really young age from the circumcision, so their breath got really shallowed out early because you hurt them really early, and they went to amnesia mode really early. So their body goes into that mode a lot of the times whenever they reach certain challenges in life. And again, too, that's what I was saying. When you're having sex, people reach a certain circuit where they're having sex, they get the signal, the body starts to relax. They don't like to relax like that because they don't want to be vulnerable like they were as a baby. So they don't even want to go to that place because that's like you're getting close to that place when you're getting relaxed and you're creating a creative space. You're getting close to that baby energy, that really innocent energy, and people don't. It's a deep fear. So you're getting close to that, and people try to pull out like or you know what I mean. They try to stop it. They don't want to just stay in there and feel their body and feel, the presence and get through that. You know what I mean? So I feel like a lot of people, it's just a deep defensiveness. You know what I mean? That comes with that, with being traumatized like that and making your breath really shallow at an infantile state. So the rest of your life, you're detached from your breath because you had crazy amnesia and crazy breath attack at that point because the breath controls pleasure and pain. So they're not really separate. Pleasure and pain are kind of two ends of the same spectrum. So like if you're trying to control your pleasure, then you breathe, you control your breathing. If you're trying to control your pain, you see it whenever anybody gets hurt. Whenever there's a circulation change from hot to cold, breath changes because the breath controls sensation. You know what I mean? So when you're a baby and you're traumatized like that, your breathing you are attacked. So then you're in the most sensitive spot in your body. So you're breathing incorrectly from the beginning. So then your whole point of attraction is different. Your whole breathing algorithm is different. Everything that you come in contact with it's off kilter. You're not even seeing it clearly. You're not really dwelling in reality because you're not really fully in your body because you're dissociating from it because the pain that's lodged in it and the fear that's lodged in it. You can't even really, it's like if fear was it is a physical thing. But if you have fear lodged in your organs and different parts of your body in general, you can't inhabit the body. So it's like the body's already stuffed with fear, so you can't even get in there. And it's just dissociating, trying to block it out so it can live because it doesn't even want to fathom a world that this type of atrocity is happening. So it's just constant dissociation. So circumcision creates dissociation, defensiveness. You're not dwelling in reality if you're dissociating. You know what I mean? You're going to live in your personality more. You'll be more split. You're not really in the body because there's fear in there. And if there's fear in there, then you're not fully in it. So that's, it's all tied to the breath, obviously, like I was saying. But I think that's what the big thing with circumcision is. You know, what I mean, I could go on for a long time, but yeah, circumcision is insane or outsane. Thoughts on Andrew Tate? I really don't know enough about him to comment on him, man. I really don't know. I haven't watched none of his fights. People send me some clips. I really, I don't know. Personally, I don't like to be with chicks that like to get hit. I think that I just have to hate myself to be with them. And I haven't explored enough of his information to know all of what he talks about, but I haven't seen anything because he's on Getter, and he's the only person really on Getter. So I follow him on Getter, and I haven't seen him say anything about breath work or semen retention. So I'm just assuming that he hasn't explored himself fully like that. And, he made himself vulnerable by, creating videos with that chick. She's already a perverted chick like that. She's already broken. If she likes that, she's already self-hating. So for you to engage with her is self-hate. Like, what I mean? It's not like I haven't choked the chick when I was having sex with her, but that's how I know, even if she likes that, I know it's wrong. Like, I know this is carnal. I know this is, this is not love. This is just, again, you're choking them because, you're playing with the breath, and then you're playing with the sensation. So pleasure and pain is totally regulated by that breath. So, yeah, so much of it though, I've seen, from that, the few interactions I've seen, I'm like, I think he could only be a better voice if he was to implement breath control and semen control. He wouldn't have made himself vulnerable to where they could call him a womanizer, and then people could think that he likes to beat chicks. It's just like, no, he's just self-hating, and he just with chicks that self-hate, and that's most people. So how can we even judge him? So I don't know, but I mean, I'm sure he says, I've heard him say some things, and it was been, he says some real shit. I can't speak for his whole life though. How to uncircumcise? You can't. I mean, it is what it is, man. It is what it is. It's something that you're going to accept. Like, I've heard of people trying to pull the skin down and all that type of stuff, but that the foreskin's gone. Those nerves are cut. It's cut and splayed. So those nerves are they're not online. So it's like a dead tooth. It's there. The tooth is there, but it's dead now. So they cut off that tip and then splay it and pull the skin back. So those nerves is gone, man. That communication is gone. You can only connect with it etherically because everything's there. It's just like the people that you cut their legs off and they say they feel their leg, or people that like lost a leg or a limb, and then they, in a heat of battle or something, and they go and do something without even thinking that the limb is gone, and they still get stuff done, like, running across a room or whatever. But it's because etherically it's still there, and then etherically that shit, densifies. That's you're a mist basically, or whatever, like a plasma mist that just gets more and more dense into like a dense plasma. So it's etheric. Your foreskin's etherically there. You have to really get in touch with the body that you have left in order to get in touch with your ethereal body, and that's just going to be getting in touch with the breath, because the blood is plasma. The breath, you're inhaling plasma, you're inhaling ether, so you're controlling the circulation of the blood. Then you're getting, you're sending the blood to every tip of your fingers and toes and every extremity. So then you get more in touch with the ethereal body, and then at an ethereal level, you can get in touch with that your ethereal foreskin. And if you was to regrow it, man, there's other things on your checklist you got to do first. Like, your body's not going to focus on the foreskin first. It's going to focus on your liver and kidneys and all of that before it focus on the foreskin. But, I guess anything's possible, man. My grandmother, they took a bone out of her foot and she was like 70, and it grew back, and they did this peer reviewed article on her. So, I mean, if she could do that and she was in poor health, she grew a bone back. So, I mean, anything's possible. So, but I just feel like for the most part, you got a long checklist, and you might as well just get in touch with your ethereal body just in case that never happens. When our breath speeds up during sex, is this a bad thing, and should we slow down to increase? Should we slow it down to increase tantra, or should we be comfortable breathing faster and still not bust? You should breathe with the rhythm of the movement. You know, it's like if you run fast, you breathe in more frequently. If you walk, you don't have to breathe as fast and as frequently, but you want to breathe completely. You know, full diaphragmatic breaths. You know, no tension. Release the tension. No clenching of the abs. The more tightness that you have, the more resistance is in your body. You probably shouldn't be having sex, or it's just the wrong person. Again, you shouldn't be having sex. So I feel like there's no problem. It's easier to hold this seed if you fuck fast. To me, I mean, definitely easier because you're not feeling as much. It's all just like friction. It's just carnal. It's not. You're not feeling nearly as much as if you was really present and doing that. You would feel every inch. She would feel every inch. You feel everything. You feel each other's body. Every cell of each other's body you would feel. So doing it fast, you're missing a lot. You know what I mean? You're getting more into rapiness. But like, I feel like you should just alternate. You know, you just go back and forth. You know what I mean? If you start off slow, you know, it's usually going to diminish the amount of time that you can have sex. If you start off fast, it's easier to go back to slow. If you start off slow, you're really going to have to be in touch with your breath so that you can speed up and come back to slow and speed up and come back to slow. Because the creative sex is a slower sex so that you can be fully present for it. Like you can pleasure each other in a carnal way and, you know, have the banging and everything, and that's cool or whatever. But if, as far as like when you want to create, you don't want to create like that. That's rapey and masturbatey. You don't really want to bait the master that way. You would rather meet the master through slow, you know, unified strokes to where you're both just being present, and then you create from that. It's not like you're just turkey basting in this chick because you're trying to do it fast and, you know, trying to just force it out. That's how you know you're raping your body. You definitely want to do it slow. You know what I mean? As far as the creativeness, to stay creative, to stay in the creative present, to stay present, because presence is create. To be, when you're present, you create. When you're creating, you're being present. Creation is alignment. So you just want to stay aligned with the moment, aligned with your body, aligned with your breath. And when you're fucking fast, it's just easier to get away from your breath, you know. But you're not feeling as much, so it kind of balances out. I'd like to think that answered the question. How do you know when you have a holistic connection with somebody? Because you know yourself and you have carved out a space in your life to where you can share your life like that intimately. It's not abrasive. It's not forced. It's something that it just makes sense to do, and to not do it doesn't make sense. You can't make it make sense, so you can't trust not doing it. So that's where more so when you would say that it's more holistic. Somebody that they agree with your values, they take care of their body in the range or some type of radius that you do, if not greater. And you know, you guys don't have bosses. You work for yourselves, work with each other, work together rather than with, because you know the etymology of with is it does mean against, but um, you're working together. You're not having a boss. You're paying yourself. You are, you know, have the same values. You know, you want to grow your food. You want to be in control of your breath. You want to control your destiny. You have these same core values. You both want to be in touch with the God within or the creator within, what have you. The originator of all things, of all life. You want to do whatever it takes to stay in good touch with that. That's how you would know. You know what I mean? Just the more so the value system and the way they treat their body. That's gonna go hand in hand though. Energetic and internal is what I'm asking. Okay, so energetically, I mean, I think it would just be obvious from their value system. It would express itself in their energy. Have you explored human design? If so, what is your type? I'm a generator as far as my birth. My conception is different. I'll share birth stuff. My conception stuff is way more intimate. So, I mean, if anybody's doing human design, you should search for your ask your mom when she got pregnant. And if you don't have a relationship like that with your mom, and you have a poor relationship with yourself, because there's no separation. Your parents are you. You are your four grandparents. They're 25% of you each. So you should have a good relationship with all of them, all these people, all six of them. So the two parents and the four grandparents, and any great grandparents, if you were blessed to have them in your life, they're just gonna show you who you are more. So yeah, human design. I've explored it. I'm a generator, the type at least. As far as my birth, my conception, I don't share my conception stuff. I don't really share my birth date. You know what I mean? Anybody that thinks they know my birth date, think again. Why is plasma being collected and people being paid for plasma? I mean, just like you farm anything, man. You know, they, they farm sperm, they farm eggs, farm plasma, farm blood. I mean, whether you're trying to survive a collapse and then you create these clones, these grafts, like the orphan trains later on with all this information, you reverse engineer. Um, it's funny because that's how I feel about it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, again, it's like applied physics, applied quantum physics. That's what tantric sex is. So I feel like I've mastered that. Now I can reverse engineer it to where I can get the specifics. Like, oh, this is what this means. Like the mathematics of this. This is the geometry of this. And I'm just like reverse engineering what I've already known from having applied it. So it's nice. But anyway, yeah, man, those things are being collected, man, mainly for cloning and for and probably to communicate with you in a remote sense, in a way that you don't know as well. You give up your blood. I've seen them do tests where like they take people's blood and have it halfway around the world, do things to the person, and then the blood in the test tube responds the same way because they're connected etherically. What does an advanced community look like to you? Uh, a bunch of people that are together, but they don't have to say it. And I mean, you could say it, you could make a constitution, but just a bunch of people with the same values, man. Uh, people, they're like a brotherhood and a sisterhood of people and elders, and the children interact with each other and they learn in different arenas. Um, that's more so, I guess, what it's about. You know what I mean? Just becoming more autotrophic, producing their own food, living off their own food, and to the point where they can be more and more breatharian as their body gets fully developed. They expose the body to the full light spectrum, and then once the body's fully developed, 29, 30, then you need less and less and less, and you're going more into a breatharian state until you leave the body, and then you are just breath, or you're just nothingness, in a sense, or you're just in the dormant seed state, or what have you, whatever you want to call that, in the in between or the other side. People with the value that they want to get in touch with death before they die in a gentle, organic way, not people that just I mean, you can do the other things. Like you could do the drugs, you could do mushrooms and stuff like that. You can have rituals with children once they reach manhood and stuff like that. But you're just reminding them of their childlikeness. That's what all that stuff is for. Like they reached a certain distance from birth. Now you got to remember, like you got to show them how to remember. Like if the, it's like this, you have this rite of passage, this ritual, this rite. So you have some type of, ceremony, and the child goes through that, and they're well, the man, they now become a man or a woman. They go through this rite of passage. They take something, whether it's peyote or mushrooms, ayahuasca or something, and it's just bringing them back to the childlike state. It's like just like getting lassoed back. So like, all right, don't forget. It's not like this, it's not like something they haven't been. It's something that you've already experienced. That's why you can even fathom it and have the experience, and even make it make sense in a human way, in a human language. It's something that you've already experienced, and that you're re-arriving at, in a sense, where you're like, oh, it's right. Eternity. Oh, that's right. Eternity. Oh, that's right. You know what I mean? Like, I got far away from it. I got lost in the temporal for a second there. I got lost in this identity. Let me get lassoed back. But if you're constantly in a chemical induced eternity, then you're lost in the temporal in a roundabout way, because not really building any contrast. If you're sober for a great length of time, years, decade, then you do this shit again, then you're like, oh man, that was a really quality experience. I don't need to do that again, maybe ever, maybe in another 5-10 years. And then everything's appropriated. It's not, there's no waste. So I feel like, a community that doesn't want to waste, a bunch of people that don't want to be wasted, people that don't want to go outside themselves to be themselves, and they are committed to that together. Is cutting penis off or castration the ultimate spiritual act, becoming a real Enoch? You mean eunuch? They say eunuch means like unique. Eunuchs used to protect royal women. I forget the etymology exactly of eunuch, but it means like protector of the bed. Like you're protecting the women, so you don't have no nuts. Nobody could think that you ever could deflower a virgin or whatever it is that you're protecting. So you're at the door protecting her bedroom. So that's what a eunuch is for. Somebody that doesn't have that sexual drive in them, so they have a different perspective, and they have that place. So I wouldn't say it's ultimate. It's just a state of being that they're choosing to do, or that makes sense, I guess, maybe for their existence, man. I personally feel like vasectomies and all of that stuff is about to become free in a lot of respects, in a lot of states, in America at least, as they go further with this abortion thing. And for a bunch of the chemical castration of the children and all that type of stuff, all of the transgender stuff. I feel like vasectomies will be commonplace. I think they're only like $1,000 now. I think they'll be free soon. I don't think you need to cut your nuts off and fuck with your flow of testosterone just because you don't want to have children. I feel like you could definitely just get a vasectomy if that's really what you're after. I don't see why the testicles aren't just for reproduction. They help control the flow of testosterone, and you need testosterone to help regenerate your body. It's a regenerative organs. They generate. So when you are sick, if you have sex, you're getting in the way of your regeneration. If you're damaged or hurt, and you have sex, you're getting in the way of that. They're your regenerative organs. So it's more so, it's not, it's a holistic part of the body. It's not just for sex. It's for regenerating in general. Opinion on Colorado, San Luis Valley, Boulder, Denver. I think a lot of the underground base stuff is in Colorado, to be real. I think there's tunnels all throughout the country. Don't get me wrong. I think there's tunnels probably from, all from North America to South America. Probably tunnels. Probably all the way from Alaska to Russia down to South America. Probably tunnels all over the world. But I really, I don't know. I don't really like that area just because what it costs for a well. If you got it like that, then yeah, man. If you got the money to drive a well, a drill to create a well through that rock, it's gonna be costly. If you got it like that, man, it'd be nice. I wouldn't knock it. Different parts of Colorado are beautiful. But like I was saying, though, it's a lot of money, man. There's an issue with water there. Phantom limb pain. Um, Probably just a circulation issue, man. You know, just or just maybe parasites migrating in different parts of your body. You know, a lot of that itching is the nervous system or parasite migration. You know, the nerves are either burned out or the parasites are flowing through an area. You know what I mean? Or it could just be poor circulation, which is going to be from a parasite, or you just, laying wrong or something. How do you cleanse parasites? Turpentine, diatomaceous earth, um, bentonite clay, enemas, wormwood and black walnut, fennel, quassia, yellow dock, red clover, astragalus. There's so many. I got a book on it, man. I got a whole book on herbs. If you want to get it, it's $10. Does having regular sexual dreams signify something? Um, if it depends on the nature of the sex, and while in your body, you shouldn't be that focused on sex. You know, your body, your consciousness is being driven into that area for some reason. You're probably eating something that's inflammatory, that's inflaming the rectum and the colon, and then that's pushing on the rectum is pushing up against the prostate, and the prostate swelling as well, and so you have a lot of blood welling up there, and blood is like essentially liquid consciousness, so you're having dreams like that, consistently. So I would say stop eating at night. You know what I mean? Maybe take an enema before bed one of these nights. Um, Stuff like that. Or maybe activated charcoal before bed or black walnut before bed. In terms of location, does where we have sex matter? Yeah, we live on ley lines. So, yeah, where you have sex definitely matters. If you have sex in an area that's designed for animals, you're going to attract more animal consciousness. If you have sex in places where, human consciousness was supposed to be, you got a better chance of attracting or ushering in an ancestor fully, because it's not like there's not an ancestor or a being coming through. You just want them to come through fully, so where it's not all this fear and this animalistic stuff that they got to uncondition or just to rewire when they come in and spend 30 years doing that. They already know themselves when they come in, and you can just witness someone knowing themselves from day one, and then it brings you back to knowing yourself even more. Is semen retention linked with the breath? If so, what kind of type of breathing one should engage during the act of tantric sex? I guess I already answered that, man. Your breath should match your movement. You should do breath work before the sex, though. You should do consistent breath work in general, but you should do breath work by yourself, or it would be even better if you did it with your partner before you had the sex, so that you can like pad your nervous system to where you have more control. And it should be 2 more breath, one or 2 or less breaths per minute, and at least a half hour. You if you get hot, then you could do some what people call Wim Hof. You could do a bunch of quick breaths, full breaths like that to cool down, and then you go back to the base of 2 or less breaths per minute. So, peace. If the body is triggered by words, does that mean there's relevancy or possible delusion? Yeah, I mean, you gotta look at it like words are multidimensional things. You know what I mean? It's a sound. They're made up of letters. They're a conjugation, a conjuring of letters, and letters are sounds. And a sound has a shape that goes with it. So it's not just a word. It's a geometric shape, and it has a resonance. You know what I mean? It has a pitch. It has a frequency. So the letters in the word are if you're going to use words, you definitely want to use them the correct way. And you're using words to manifest your reality. You're thinking in a language, so you might as well do the etymology of your language, go to an older language, and then go to an older language than that, so that you can really see what you're saying and, say what you're seeing, instead of just, saying what you hear and hearing what you say. You definitely want to see it too and know it fully in every dimension, because it's a visual thing. There's no separation between light and sound. They're one. Just resonance, vibration they're one. Yes, still sober. Yes, still sober. Still sober. Still abstinent. Um, I'll probably be driving across the country soon. For anybody that wants to catch a breath session, I'll be driving across the country sometime probably in November. I'm thinking I'd like to do it before the election, and then get back before those people take office in January. So I'm thinking I'm gonna go to East Coast in November. Who knows what's gonna happen though. But I'm thinking I'm gonna go East Coast in November, and I think I want to get back to the West Coast before those people take office, because if it goes the way I think it's gonna go, which will probably be stolen, I think by the time those people take office in January, they're gonna get really brazen. If you think they're brazen now and reckless politically, it's gonna be stupid once these people take office in January, one way or another. Even if good people get in there, it's gonna be such a fight. It's gonna be so much bullshit getting pulled. So I think you definitely want to get settled into where you're going by January, um, because this is going to be a dogfight politically. And I know people talking about the nuclear thing, but I don't think it's just people want to talk shit about capitalism, even though we don't really live in real capitalism. This is not really capitalism. This is not a free market. It's a fixed, rigged system. This is more of like a communism situation than actual capitalism. We're not really experiencing that in our lifetimes. Um, we're not experiencing a tax-free market, or we're not. We're just dealing with a rigged game. We have a central bank which is unconstitutional, controlling the interest rates, which controls basically the flow of money, and that's that's not capitalism. But people will blame capitalism. But let's just talk about trade in general. That's what's keeping any type of explosive war from taking off. Whether you think nukes exist or not, um, I don't think war is going to get explosive, because explosives do exist. I don't think war is going to get explosive, um, or even plasma fighting. Whatever. I don't think it's going to get to that point, because yeah, business, man. Like Russia can't attack America, because that'd be like attacking China. We're China's biggest customer. You know, if they was to attack San Francisco or anywhere on the West Coast, how much that would mess with China's money. So China don't want that, and China, the Sino-Russian alliance. You know what I mean? The Sina, son of Canaan is Sina. China, Shina, China. That's they all homies, you know what I mean? You can see Putin got the Mongol head shape and everything, you know what I mean? They're all like, you're just a pale Mongol, you know what I mean? Mixed with some Scythian, you know what I mean? They're all, similar folks, you know what I mean? It's tribal. It's a tribal thing. They're not going to attack China's business, you know what I mean? So it'll be a proxy war for a while here. And I'm not saying it couldn't get hot. I just don't think that America would get into it for years, just like World War II, America didn't get into it until Pearl Harbor, which probably was a staged event. So, but it took years. That was the biggest gift to Europe. Americans wasn't trying to get in that war. They're like, I'm not trying to fight no war for no Europeans. You know what I mean? We could supply out with arms or whatever, and you can buy shit from us. You can give us industry, but I'm not trying to fight your war. Germany was winning, but then Japan bombs Pearl Harbor, and then supposedly we nuke Tokyo, Hiroshima, or we nuke Hiroshima and Nagasaki. But if you look at Tokyo, it looks just as leveled as Hiroshima and Nagasaki. They tell us it was it was carpet bombed. I'm like, what's the difference? I don't know. I don't know. Maybe there are hydrogen bombs though, and it is just a plasma bomb basically. You know what I mean? Because most of the atmosphere is, is a high amount of it is hydrogen. So a lot of the plasma, the ether, the air, ether is hydrogen. So you know, it could be a conductor of plasma, or like or for explosiveness. So maybe they have mastered that. I don't know. I just feel like if they did nuke it, then they nuked Tokyo too. But I don't. You know what I mean? I feel like they just carpet bombed. That's just my opinion. You know what I mean? They might have made something since 1942, right? When that was, I think that was. And then, well, a few years later, they ran, Hitler out of there, and Americans wanted to get into the war after they bombed Pearl Harbor, but they didn't ever want to get in the war before that. So I think it will be a proxy war for a while, just like World War II, and then they'll probably stage an event and to get America into it, and war is just going to be a great culling of people, and they're going to carve up the world, just like World War One, World War Two. And this will be, the next. We're in World War Three, or if you want to call it that. If this isn't the Fourth World War, however you want to look at it, really, it's kind of like the Fourth World War, because the Cold War is kind of like the third one, when they carved up the Balkan states and everything after the fall or the supposed fall of the Soviet Union. I don't feel like they ever fell. I feel like they just went underground. They didn't really fall. They just changed names and they moved things around to make people feel differently, but nothing really changes. That things do change. It's like if you give $1 for 4 quarters, it's still $1. It's still $1 the amount. It's changed, but it hasn't transformed. So I feel like that's kind of what we're going through. You know what I mean? A phony transition, or a renaissance of parasitic activity, a reset, whatever you want to call it. And that's what renaissance is, a reset. So a renaissance, rebirth, reset. So that's really what I think is going on. I feel like it's going to be a speculative war. It's going to be a trade war, and we're already in that. And it's going to be more of that and more political war. We're in a political civil war at the moment, and I feel like it's going to be more of that, for a little while here. And the supply chain issue is going to really ramp up probably by next spring, and inflation as well. And I think the right might take the House, but they probably won't take the Senate because bitch McConnell, he's probably worse than any Democrat. As much as people want to come at the left, I think Mitch McConnell's probably worse because he's just a communist in disguise, and Kevin McCarthy as well, and probably Trump, to be honest. But I do think that there are some real people in there, peppered in there, and I think at the House level we could get more real people in there because it's a lower level of Congress, really. And I really want to fuck with DeSantis, man. I really think DeSantis would be a better president. He'd be less polarizing from my gut. But logically, I'm like, he went to Yale. And that really is bothersome that he went to Yale. But he says all the right things. I don't know. Maybe he'd be a super Trump. But I just feel like that's a direction politically and on a rational 3D level. I got real etheric in the beginning of the talk. Now I'm getting real 3D and rational with y'all. I think that November, there's gonna be some bullshit in October. October surprise, because there always is. Politically, it's always gonna be something. They're gonna pull a stunt. They might try to buy voters. Just say like, oh, look what we did. You should vote for us now. Or it'll just be a catastrophe somehow. They'll blame it on somebody. Who knows? But it's going to be an October surprise. And then November, I feel like they're just going to steal it, especially the Senate. I don't think they want to give that up. Because if they control the Senate, then they can control who the vice president is. Because the Senate votes on who the vice president will be. So I think Biden will be impeached or he'll step down. I think he'll definitely go through the impeachment process if they if they lose the House. I think that the right is going to win the House. Then they're going to try and impeach Biden. That's why I feel like if Trump was a real dude, he would just run for Congress and just be a congressman, and then try to and be the Speaker of the House and then impeach Biden. But since he's not doing that, it really makes me feel like tough to trust him. You know what I mean? Because that's where you could be active right now, doing something, making a difference right now. But he don't seem to be doing that right now. So like, I feel like that they're either going to impeach Biden when they lose the House, and or he'll step down, and then Kamala will come in, and then since the left has control of the Senate, they could pick who the vice president will be, and I think they gotta it might be a long shot, but I think they might do Michael Obama. I think they could because Obama is actually the real the real president in a sense. He's actually, I mean, he doesn't run anything really. He just runs uh that level of government. You know what I mean? He's being controlled too, but Biden's not controlling shit. We know that. So it wouldn't be far fetched to me if they control the Senate, Biden steps down, Kamala becomes president, and then they bring Michael Obama in, Michelle, like anybody seen Dodgeball, Michelle. They bring her in, and then she'll be vice president, and then you just would not be able to say anything. It'd be so politically correct, right? There'd be these people that just are awful at just in general, that and at their job and in general, they'll be the ones that you can't say nothing about because they got the complexion for the protection and they got vaginas. So what can you say? You ain't gonna be able to say nothing. Censorship about to be stupid. That's why I changed my name again to the messenger, to Nuntius, and moving to Getter. I'll be posting on Getter mainly because I'm still suspended on Facebook, and I think the censorship is going to get even more stupid the closer we get to elections, and then once then people take office, I think it's going to get really dumb. So we're moving into a censored life, into that Black Mirror life where you have people just getting censored out of life. Like you just can't even see them or communicate with them. So that's where I think it's headed right now, at least in the short term. And that'd be like the slow walk, I think, into the bullshit. Like I said, the right takes over. If the right happens to win, they're gonna pull all types of stunts because the left, the Democratic Party, which started the country, which was the slaveholders, they are they own the media, and the media has a cobra clutch on a lot of people. So what I mean, I think that the public perception, the court of public opinion, a lot of that is getting swayed by the illusions from the mainstream media. So you still got so many boomers that watch it. So and a lot of them is the ones with the purchasing power in this country, the boomers. And so that's probably the biggest issue. You know what I mean? Worst case scenario, they totally steal the election. January comes around, we have massive supply chain issues, and people better start buying a gold and silver and seeds and shit like that now before it goes up, because it's all being held at they're buying it up and keeping it at a false low to make so people don't think that there's something going on. All the silver and gold right now, and like you see the Vatican's calling for its money back. They want all their money back by September 30th. And a bunch of money, the money matters. The money getting the gold, the real money is getting moved around, and that's really you just follow the gold, follow the silver. You can really see what's really going on. Follow the platinum, follow all of it, all of the actual actual tangible value, you can really see the true state of the economy. And it's funny though, as things collapse more and more, people still gonna give confidence to the dollar, at some level, because their countries are collapsing. You know what I mean? If you got, massive inflation in a Latin American country, people are going to hedge their inflation by buying dollars. So it gives confidence, like momentary confidence to the dollar for a period. So I feel like I said, man, they're trying to consolidate. So they want to, it's a world government. It's always been there. It's just about uncloaking. So they want to get as many people in the North American border as possible to get to collapse those countries, to make people come from all around the world, from the Middle East, from everywhere. Not just people think it's just Mexicans coming or whatever, Venezuelans coming across. It's Pakistanis. Everybody's coming across that border right now. They want to double the population by 2030. So I think it's a process here. Like, you still have a window of creating a life. You just got to be on your P's and Q's and to weather the storm here. And yeah, that's really I guess all I got to say about the short term and the long term as far as the projection for me is that. And I think that I'm gonna be on the East Coast for the holidays and from November to New Year's. But who knows, man? Who knows what'll happen? Maybe I won't go nowhere. But I feel like I probably will, so I can crank out some music with my brother and hang with my folks and yeah, do some breath work maybe with some of y'all across the way, man. Uh, just got a camper for my truck, so it'd be nice. I could slow walk the process across the country. It'll be enjoyable. So let me see if I got any more questions. Oh, what rebuilds sperm fastest? Oh man, not obstructing blood flow, eating root herbs, burdock root, sarsaparilla root, yellow dock root. These help the root regenerate. Um, that's the main thing. You want to support the flow of iron, support the blood flow, support the root. Maca will help. Astragalus root will help. All the roots are going to help you regenerate. And breath, though, a lot of breath. You're going to have to do a lot of breath control to regenerate that sperm. I heard that if you do Shivambu or urine therapy for over 10 years, you become immortal. Is that totally false? I don't know, man. Why would it be a 10-year thing? If you're immortal, then I don't. You know what I mean? Then it should be plenty of immortals out here. It's got to be somebody else out here drinking piss that is immortal. That you could just go talk to them and go feel like and be next to them and be like, this is true. The same way that you could go be next to an athlete and be like, oh yeah, you could dunk a basketball. It's not really far fetched to think that you could do that. You know what I mean? So yeah, I think it's probably got to be somebody out here that you go physically meet and be around them and be like, okay, yeah, this is you drank piss for 10 years and this made you immortal. Even though, how will we really know unless we live next to this motherfucker for the next 70, 80 years to figure it out? And if you're going to do that, then you're going to do that. You know what I mean? I guess you find out for yourself. It's not anything that anybody would have to tell you if you did it for yourself. I'm not a Sagittarius. My take on crypto, it's definitely part of the beast system, going into a trackable system in a world government scenario, which we're already in, and then we're getting in a deeper one. None of the servers are going to be private, so they're going to know the flow of all the information, all the energy, all the crypto, even if you do have private wallets. So as anonymous as you think you are, I mean, what are you going to do? You're going to withdraw money in a totally in a totally cashless society. I mean, I guess you're not going to be withdrawing money, but you're going to be spending the money somehow, some way, somewhere. So in a cashless society, where can you go where things aren't monitored? If they're monitoring your money, they already got everything on camera now anyway. So I don't know how you could go to an ATM or go to a place and buy something and then not be able to say like, okay, this is, they can deduce from this information like, oh, this is the person with this wallet, you know? And they spending all that money now to investigate all the crypto shit. So I think that, they're going to just be throwing, 80,000 IRS agents in the next 10,000, the next 10 years, they're going to be heavily focused on the crypto. So I feel like, it's a currency that has is going to have less and less anonymity as the days go on. And I think, if you got it now, I would definitely play with some of it, while you still have it. But I would get some tangible currency too, silver, gold, guns, seeds, bullets, metals. I feel like that's, you need to have your 3D currency as well. I said we need somebody like me to start a country. That's funny. Are the Russians the Dracos? I heard the Draconians have a slave race called the Shangri-La, and that sounds like an Asian name. I mean, I know a lot of people call the Draconians like archons or whatever, like synonymous. I mean, I feel like, people is, typically at this point, they're all occupied by this one common enemy that we have, this one common parasite that we have, whether they be different level parasite, whether you a vampire or what, it doesn't really matter. Like, you a low level worm or just personified fungus, people are compromised. So, I mean, you can call it whatever you want to call it. Yeah. How to determine if you're originally an animal, ley line, space, or a human or a divine being one. Um, there's a channel called Into All Truth, and she just bounces around a bunch of ideas of where people are supposed to be, and the inherited lands. I think that could give you a good perception of where people are supposed to be, but Southeast America, Southwest America, United States, Southeast America, United States, Southwest United States, a lot of Central America, a lot of Northern South America, um, parts of South Asia, um, parts of Northern Australia. Um, yeah, I think you should look into that though. Check out Into All Truth because it's like, in order for me to, because you gotta look at it like, if Atlantis existed and then it's submerged, or Lemuria existed and it's submerged, like a lot of areas are submerged now, and then you got some areas like Africa that was like places where you had chimeras and people that was like animal people, and animals lived there. It wasn't for original man. It was for all the splices to live in the continent of Africa. So like, it's, I think you should just look into like as much of the ley lines as you can. Do you still use a driver's license to travel? Yeah, I got like 2 driver's licenses and a passport. So I figure I might as well just use it until I can't use it no more. Until gas is $12 a gallon and I can't drive. I don't really feel like it's gonna make a difference. If I run off into the woods, you know, if I use a driver's license up until the point of running into the woods, I don't think it really matters. If I'm already in a state of being captured and put in court, then I'm already going to defend myself and be like, look, this is a straw man or whatever. You know what I mean? I'm already at that detriment. So I don't see a point in getting rid of my license, like, and depleting my accessibility. Do you know about the straw man stuff? Yes. If you want to go into the recension stuff, man, talk to Pharaoh about it. I just feel like if anybody can take away, or if anybody can give you sovereignty, they can take it away. You give you sovereignty with your daily actions, the things that you do. Do you move towards not needing? Do you move towards growing all your food? Do you move towards those things? Or it really, on a legal term, yeah, Pharaoh's going to tell you like put the land in a trust, do a recension process to get rid of your your straw man, and then the trust you have to renew the trust every 125 years. The 13th son said in 2014 that the final blood moon of 2015 was the start of the 7-year tribulation. November 7th, 2022 was Armageddon. You heard about this? I have not heard about this, but you know, if it happens, then that's cool. It is what it is. You know what I mean? You got to be ready. You got to stay prepared to be ejected from your body at any point. So no point in fearing it if it does happen. Come on, yo. How you discover urine therapy and what made you do it? I've never done urine therapy. But Dr. Sebi, when I found Sebi in 2008, he said he did it after 6 weeks on just water. So that was the first time I encountered somebody talking about it. What does this mean to you? Imagining creates reality. There's no fiction in this world. I mean, again, if you're talking with letters, it's a visual. The letter is a shape, so it's not just a sound. So what you're saying is also a visual. Come on, yo. And so imagining creates the reality is like, yeah, there's no fiction in this world. Like, if you're experiencing it conceptually, yeah, some level, some of your cells are experiencing it. But if you're not fully experiencing it, then it's not really reality. If it's not the moment, it's just you're not fully here or there in this parallel or whatever that you think that you're going through at the same time simultaneously. Get off her. Come here. Our sauna is good for you. I noticed when I went for a few years, the most melanated people could stay in the longest. I think you asked a lot of questions. I think I'm about to get me done. You asked a lot of questions, bro. But anyway, yeah. Saunas, man, I think they can help. I feel like they're better than steam rooms. You know, I think they can help. How have you ended relationship with females? Is it always turbulent? No, it's not always turbulent, but generally it is, depending on the way you have sex with them. You know, because your body's kind of making a contract with them. So it's just about like being completely honest throughout the whole process. And that's it, man. Just completely just talking to them about it. But at this point in life, you know, you're getting older, you're activating someone to have a baby. If you're having sex correctly, you're activating them to have a baby. So it's going to be more emotional to separate. So you have to be clear the entire time. You have to say everything that's going through your mind. You have to be like, I was thinking about a bitch the other day at Walmart, whatever. You got to think, you got to be all of that. You want to be clear. You'd want them to be clear with you. Middle of hairline balding and have bladder issues. Herbs, red raspberry leaves. Stop eating and drinking at the same time. Don't drink alcohol. Don't drink alcohol. Don't eat fat and sugar at the same time. Don't eat salt and sugar at the same time. Salt palmetto helps. Uh, man, I got a book on herbs. Like I said, I heard that mushrooms, etc., are looking for DNA further in the finite life. Some people say mushrooms aren't even vegan, man. I think it's up to you, though. It's really up to you, whatever you want to do. You know what I mean? Oh, he said locking. My bad. I've heard that mushrooms, etc., are locking our DNA further into the finite life. Yeah, I mean, you could look at it like that. I mean, it's keeping you more in experiencing yourself through something else. You know, something like that isn't you, that isn't even the same species as you. You know what I mean? I think it's definitely keeping you more in an objectified state and in separation. Yes, I live off the grid. I got well water. I also collect the water that comes from the snow melt, and in the droughts, I can get water delivered from wells if the wells dry up. But yes, I'm off the grid. I have a hip imbalance that's getting really into me. Any recommendations on how to fix it? Your hips is definitely gonna, you gotta worry. Look at how you're sleeping. Look at what you're eating. If you're eating starchy stuff, you're gonna fuck with your hips and joints in general. But you should do more breath work, and you should watch how you sleep. Sleep with a pillow under the small of your back, maybe if you sleep on your back. But you don't, you might want to sleep on a flat surface. Um, a lot of it's gonna be the way you sleep. That's dictating this. The way you sleep and the way you eat, kind of like the same thing. You're gathering energy from sleeping, or you're gathering energy, being reminded of your energy from sleep, or you're being reminded of your energy from food. So the best way to track your bloodline, just get their blood reports, see what their blood types were, and then you go back and get all the dates of all the people born. Then you go investigate. You know what I mean? You gotta get pictures of all these people. Get all the pictures of the oldest pictures of all your oldest ancestors. Try to get as much of it. Do you investigate yourself. Like really, you got a bunch of time to Google a bunch of shit and scroll. You might as well look into all your ancestors, and then maybe take a blood test. You can do at home blood tests, or you go to Quest Diagnostics or something to see what your bloodline is. Thoughts on acid and its connection to CIA, MK Ultra, and being a government drug. All drugs are government drugs. I mean, acid is an extract. You know what I mean? I feel like if you were to get the ergot in a more in a less synthesized way, you know what I mean? It's probably a bunch of different ways to extract it, but the ergot itself, I mean, it's just a fungus that grows on grain. So if you expose yourself to it one way or another, you would get that effect. The CIA probably just further synthesized it, and I feel like acid really interferes with your dreams, and it really makes it easier to slip into psychosis, and then you need more acid to have a good experience. I'm not familiar with Neville Goddard, no. Would who? Why do you think children are becoming less vocal? When should they speak full sentences? They don't really know their language. Their parents are working and don't have enough time to really sit with them and teach them what they're really saying. So they don't really know their own language, so they can't really speak confidently. They don't really know themselves. They don't know the reality they're creating. Their parents don't, so they just don't. They talk less. They're not as active with their speech. It's just that world. That's the world we live in. So, yep, I'm gonna wrap this up then. I don't think there's any more questions. I think that's it. Appreciate y'all again. I'm on Getter, just in case I get deleted on here. At Nunthius, Nunteus, or you can just search Collage on there. You can find me on Tal Laura on Facebook, maybe. I'll put the email in the description. And my backup Instagram is do what thou will, not thou will. Thou, the universal, the primal identity. So it's basically saying do what God will. So it's for the people that be like, look, he's a Mason. Look at that. But no. Do what thou will. DAO. Do what thou will. It's my backup Instagram. And King Collage, QING Collage is my Twitter, but I don't use Twitter right now because I'm just gonna be on Getter. I don't think it's a point in really building on this digital real estate that is censoring so hard. And my Rumble is Tao Lore, TAOLORE. So you can find me on Rumble now. I'm gonna re-upload everything. It's gonna take me a while. That's why I want to like to go back to the East Coast. It's a lot easier for me to just sit still and just upload a bunch of digital, be in a digital life more than up here on the mountain. I could just sit there and re-upload all them old pivotal videos from YouTube onto my Rumble, and then start doing lives from Getter once I get enough people over there, and doing lives from Rumble. And I know that they got the Rumble Roku channel now. So once I get enough stuff on the Rumble account, then you get the Roku Rumble channel and you can watch the videos on your TV. So yeah, I think that's about it, man. Again, I do breathwork sessions. $50 for a half an hour, or consultations are $50 for a half an hour, and also 44 PDFs with 5 audiobooks for $50. So it's like a little over $1 per each unit of media, and that's really about it, man. Yeah, let me know. I guess if you're gonna be anywhere in the country, just let me know if you were trying to link and do some breath work or something, or if you wanna do some videos, some interviews or something. Because I'm gonna restart my Patreon, my own personal Patreon, and just do everything from my personal Patreon, Rumble, and Getter, and then just slowly phase out the Instagram and just promote those things from Instagram. Once I can get a decent amount of people from my gram over there, because before Parler got shut down from the Play Store, I had like almost 1,000 followers on there. So I think Getter still being in the Play Store, we could, again, Getter is GETTR, Getter. So I think everybody, if I can get enough people over there, a few thousand people over there, then I would just promote the Getter from from Instagram and stuff, and just post like major posts, not the consistent stuff. Oh, and also thank you for my hoodie, man, the Osmodeus hoodie from the Spoiled Bear. I think it's Spoiled Bear Clothing or Spoiled Bear Workshop. I think Spoiled Bear Workshop on Instagram. I'll tag them in this, I guess. But yeah, my Patreon. I'll link the Patreon, and Rumble and Getter will be my go-tos. And I got some more questions. This is why you never market this witty slogans. It's funny you say that. Because I am about to start this other business, man. I'm gonna have some merch for y'all. Some merch that you can apply to your life. Some merch that you can actually use. I'm gonna have for y'all. But not until I get it off the ground. I won't promote it till then, but it's coming. And I'll find a way to package it with the books and stuff too, so people can have a whole little bundle situation. But the merch is coming, so I'll put the slogans out another way. And so do you have a morning routine? Yeah, read my book Heal in a Day. That gives some insight on the morning routine. So that's it, man. I appreciate y'all, man. And if y'all got any books that you recommend reading, I guess just hit me with that. Like, and I always ask this, but I feel like I don't really like people's taste in books when I find it. But maybe this time you guys will have some books for me that I can digest that I'll really enjoy. But I appreciate y'all, man. Thanks for hanging out. I'm pranic right now. You're always pranic right now. But yeah, man, I'm predominantly smoothies, man. And every now and again, I eat the soul of a person. You know what I mean? Just snatch the right up out their body. You know what I mean? You know how I go. Osmodeus flow. But nah, yeah, man. As hydrating as possible. I really don't like to eat dehydrating foods. I really feel it the next day. So smoothies mainly, and it's easier for me to fast in the temperate weather. You know what I mean? In the summer, especially with the Lyme, you know what I mean? I got Lyme disease, so it's more difficult for me to control. I spend a lot of energy controlling my temperature in the summer. It's harder for me to control my temperature, so I'm either gonna have to go to different spots in the summer to stay cooler so that I can fast more, or, you know what I mean, or just ride it out like I've been doing. But like in the fall and the spring and the winter, it's so much easier for me to fast. So much easier for me to be pranic or whatever, to be completely pranic, or to be on just water or just coconut water. For one, when it's cold, I can't have smoothies, and then I'm not being dehydrated by this Mojave heat that I live in here. You know what I mean? I live on the other side of the mountain range of the Mojave, so the sun is crazy. So it's you know, it's a lot of dryness. So in the summer, I'm more parched. So um, in the winter, I really don't have to even drink as much water. And some days I don't need any water because I live in the clouds in the winter. It's so much clouds here. So it's easier to dry fast. And then same thing for the spring too. And then since I'm not having sex and I'm regenerating and I'm not doing any, chemicals, any chemical romances, um, it's, it's a lot easier to fast as well because I'm not in the compensation game of like, if you get high, then you're dehydrated or whatever, or you do psychedelics and then you're burning endorphins and now you need more electrolytes or whatever. It's just, less of that whole game. So you ever feel you too ahead of this wave that people in time won't get it? I don't feel like I'm ever going to be recognized like that, but you know, I know I played my part, so I can live and pass on with that. So appreciate y'all. Have a good night or a good morning wherever you are, or whatever. A guten Tag.